Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our second feature spotlight webinar we're putting on. It's going to be a bi-weekly webinar series we're doing here, and the second installment here is going to be on competitor research, and it's going to be under anything under that competitor research tab. We're going to go through and we're going to show y'all the site performance, the competitor manager, the domain research central, and those are all under the competitor research tab. And then we're going to show you how you could pull those into a WYSIWYG report as well. On the recording with me here, or on the webinar here with me, is Jeremy Rivera, our Director of SEO here at Raven. I'm going to be tagging him in a few of our talks here, and so he can dive a little bit more into what these tools offer. So wanted to introduce him here. If y'all have any questions for us, you can go ahead and put them in the chat or section there, and we can go ahead and address questions as they come up, and then we can also touch base on some of those questions at the end of the webinar here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen right now, and we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 1 minute past here. I see a few people still joining on, but we are recording this webinar, so we'll be able to send that out to you afterwards as well. So I'm going to start here by, we're in the competitor research tab over here on the left. And first thing we're going to look at is site performance. So that's where we are right now. Within the site performance tab, you're able to compare your URL and your site with a top competitors of yours. You can add two in at a time and just compare different fields. I'll go through and explain what these fields are. You can either add a competitor on this dropdown, one that you have in the system already, or you can add in a new competitor here as well. Adding in a new competitor here will bring them over to the competitor manager as well. So I'll start with the SEO metrics here on the top. What we have here are external backlinks from both Majestic and Moz. So you can see your backlinks versus your competitors. We also have a couple different statistics. We have the citation flow metric from Majestic, as well as the trust flow. And then we have your domain authority metric from Moz. So we pull these metrics in straight from the API that these companies have with us there, and we compare them to the competitor. A good way to get a look at what's being pulled in and some additional features here is going to be on the, there's a blue eye next to each list item here. So for instance, you can click on the blue eye here on external backlinks. It'll let you know about Majestic external backlinks. It'll give you kind of where that information is coming from. So it's pulling from your domain URL. A couple of tips on how to improve your score. And then also some resources here. So a knowledge base on Link Manager, Backlink Explorer, and external backlinks. So for each line item here, you can click on the eye and get some additional information. Again, here's about citation flow or about trust flow, and you can see why those numbers are what they are. The next section here is site metrics. Site metrics has a few different pieces to it. The first is load time. This is going to be essentially how long it takes for that main page to load on your site here. So you can see yours versus your competitors. Then there's a page speed metric. This is brought in by Google. And it kind of tells you a little bit more about what that is. Page speed score is a metric devised by Google based on the best practices that affect web page performance. So you're graded 1 to 100, and the higher the score, the better. Here's how to improve your score. You can avoid redirects, don't scale images in HTML. So again, a couple of tips there to help improve that. And then also the page speed insights from Google developers is one of the resources we have under here. You'll also notice as we go through, you'll see some of these are in green and some are in red. So that's just indicating, you know, who has a higher score, you or your competitor there. So the next part we have here is the preparedness, and then I'm going to actually bring Jeremy in for this and kind of explain a little bit of what these metrics are and why they're important there. I'll drop this eye down so you can see a little bit here, but Jeremy, do you want to jump in here? Great, perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, these are some fundamentals. First, making sure that you've got a proper redirect between two different versions. If you have both the www and non-www version of your domain index. That can cause some complications when it comes to ranking. So this just makes sure that you've got a proper redirect happening, checking to see if you have a robots.txt file, not necessarily what's contained within it, although there is one checkbox there for crawlable. If you accidentally launch your site in a redesign and forgot to remove that no index, no follow tag that WordPress adds to sites when you're building them, we would pick that up. It'd have a red mark after crawlable. This is going to also check and see if you've got Google Analytics integrated. It's just checking for that Google Analytics code. Don't worry, sometimes you might be implementing it through Tag Manager, so it's not as detailed as the page-by-page Google Analytics check that you might find in, say, our site audit tool. But it's a good thing to check off your list. And last, of course, but not least, no malware detected. That's a pretty big one. So these are pretty fundamental things. If you want to learn more about these particular elements, we've got some helpful tips that link to our knowledge base.
Great, thanks, Jeremy. I'm going to go along and grab a couple more of these here. So we have your domain registration by site auditor. This just tells you how many days until your domain registration expires there. Excuse me. So you can see that for you and your competitor as well. The last section we have on this site performance screen is going to be social metrics. So the social metrics are a little bit interesting as far as how they're brought in here. So a good way to think about the social metrics section on site performance is these are designated by your URL on your home page. So for example, social integration. This isn't saying that JeremyRiveraSEO.com does not have a Facebook page. What it's saying is there is no integration on JeremyRiveraSEO.com that'll bring you to his Facebook page. So this is basically saying on this main page, these are the social media metrics we're looking for, or social media integrations we're looking for. So if you don't have, a Facebook widget that brings you to your site, or a Twitter widget that brings you, to your Twitter page there, we're going to point those out to you. So that's just a different way of looking at it, but it's some pretty good information there. Again, you can hit the eye and see some different information on that, how to improve those, and then just the resources page. But so you can see here on this main page, we don't have any of those social integrations set up. Same thing for the rest of these statistics. You're going to see Twitter likes. This isn't how many times your Twitter page has been liked. This is, anybody looking at JeremyRiveraSEO.com, the web page. So same with Facebook shares. 11 times this website has been shared, not necessarily the Facebook page has been shared that many times. You also have Facebook comments. There are currently 0 comments that mention JeremyRiveraSEO.com. Same with Pinterest shares, LinkedIn, and stumbled upon views. So as you can see throughout those, I just wanted to point out that it is a easy thing to confuse there, but if you just think of it as this is all in relation to the URL at the top, it's pretty easy and it shows some really good information for you. So those are the metrics in the site performance section. I wanted to show you a few other things here, just kind of the way the tool works. Like I said, you can add a new competitor here and bring in up to 2 competitors to review against each other. You can also add a competitor up in this section as well, and that will add a competitor right to the competitor manager, in which case after that you can select them from this list. The other really helpful site performance tool here. So I guess background on this, every time you log into site performance, so every time you go over here and you click this site performance button, it is going to generate this information. So it does not generate that every single day if you're not in there looking at it. And the point that goes with that is if you click this date box up here, you can see which days that you have generated site information, and you can go back to one of those days and compare it to what you're looking at right now. So we can see there was no change in this information. Let me go back a couple of months so we can see some good changes in data here. Great, so you can see it gives you, this went down 96%, this went up 7%. You can see those changes and highlighted in green and red, and then you can see them versus your competitors as well at that time. So it's really helpful to kind of just see where you've been going. Maybe you check the site performance page on, the first of every month, and you see your trend lines that way. You can also see up here where maybe I only want to see all the negative or the positive parts, so I know what to work on, or all the positives, so I know kind of what we're doing right. And then you can, toggle and look at all of them as well. But this is a really good way to kind of compare what you've been doing to what those progress marks are. And then you can also go here and create a PDF report for yourself to look at. And I will show you what that looks like here. And basically that will just generate a report similar to the one you'll see on in your report metrics there. I think, let's see, this is going to be the easiest way to bring that up. There you go. So it's just going to pull that PDF just similar to the reporting. Great. So the next thing I want to jump into is the Competitor Manager tab. So we're going to jump over here. In this Competitor Manager tab, the way this is set up is you're going to have your URL up here at the top and those metrics based off of your URL. And then underneath, you're going to have each competitor that you list. You can add your competitors by clicking the blue Add Competitors button. You can give them their URL and then a tag if you'd like to work in the tagging system here and see that. Something to note, you're going to see competitor information in other tabs throughout the system. For example, in SERP Tracker, you can see some competitor information on keywords. We decided not to dive into that because we're going to address each of those in their own feature webinars. So right now we're sticking with this Competitor Manager tab, but if you do have any questions on those additional areas, you can just let us know. So we have a couple of different statistics here. You have your quality score, your Moz authority, your majestic pages here. Something to note right now, this UI looks a little bit weird. We are working on some UI updates for that, but you can see kind of this is the section where the quality scores are, and it's just being allocated over here to the left. So here's your quality scores, your Moz authority, majestic pages. This is how many links you have, and then your .gov.edu and who is created. So one thing I wanted to point out is you can go to your display options and add or remove any of these here. So maybe you just want to see your Moz, Alexa, and your quality, and you can pull those in and get those statistics. So just wanted to point out that you can add in what you want to add in. Another thing you can do here is click on the gear icon to the left of each line item, and you can add that to those other areas that I was mentioning before. Maybe you want to research this competitor in domain research that we'll have Jeremy dive into here in a second. You want to compare them in Research Central. You can also remove them from the manager or add a tag here as well. Maybe you want to tag all your main competitors versus a new or a competitor or something along those lines. You can work the tag manager here as well. And this information you can see is coming from Moz, Majestic, and you can also hover over each of these, and I believe I will double check on that. Great, so you also have a bulk action item here that you can check and do those same things if you have to do them on multiple competitors at once. You have the typical settings menu here where you can paginate that by more or less, save to a CSV or a PDF as well. So the competitor manager screen is pretty straightforward. It has the functions of a lot of different areas in Raven where you can search for a certain competitor. If you have a large list there, you can filter those out and do those sorts of things as well. But it's a really good area to put all in one and see competitor ranks versus your own. So what I'm going to do now is make Jeremy the presenter here, and he is going to go over our Domain Research Central tool There's a lot of great information in there, and he knows a lot about it. So I'm going to switch the presenter over to him, and he'll be able to help you out. Let's see. All right.
Hello, folks. Let me just open this wider up. Okay, so this is our Domain Research Central section. And you're going to start by plugging into the summary section. You can plug in a URL, and it's going to give you as many statistics as you really could want for a single domain. I will point out that because it's dynamic, every time that you come back to this section, it would want you to ask for a URL. So if you want to save your shortcut so you can come back to it later, that's really handy. So we want to jump to our shortcut. We've got our site metrics box, which is pulling information, a whole bunch of information, when the domain was created, what's its expiration date, how many juice passing links. These are metrics that are coming both from Majestic and from Moz. So there are a number of very unique pieces of information, like the number of referring subnets, the number of referring EDUs, as well as some more generic citation, trust flow, authority ranking metrics. Each of these you can toggle on and off if you don't think that the number of recurring govs is particularly likely for your underwater widgets company to get any .gov links, or that's not a metric that's not important to you, then you can exit out. You can always create a report as is usual from our interface, and this is just going to create that external shareable URL. I will note that this is distinct, in the reports that you make from each of the sections are kind of limited in which metrics they add by default. So if you want to customize your report, always remember to go to our WYSIWYG report generator, and you can make a very detailed list of which metrics from this tool you want to pull in. One of the things that I do like is the trendline view for your links, so you can see if there's a huge number of links coming in over time, you're going to be able to toggle on and off these years. So if there's too much data coming at you all at once and you just want to see for 2018 what was the most recent range, there is a lag. I think it's a 3-month lag in the Authority Labs data, so that's why it's not showing any links for November or December. It's not because they aren't there. It's just the way that their index works and sends us information. But this kind of gives you a handy trend line to look and see what's going on. You can view the number of image links that your site is getting versus the number of no follows. This is a handy little domain distribution channel, and you can kind of see, oh, hey, I've got 500.ru links. Uh-oh, that's not good. So there's useful pieces of information spread out here. The next tool is unique. I don't know if any other tool offers this. So there's a lot of tools out there that offer you some sort of score or metric. Well, the problem is that you don't really get to determine what elements go into that score, right? Well, we came up with a quality analyzer tool so that you could do exactly that. You can choose and say, oh, hey, EDU links, I think are super important. .gov links, I think that's super important. Domain authority, that's super important. So once you add these, then you can say, this is super influential for the score. And if it's below this level, then it's green. If it's above this level, it's green. In between, it's yellow, and below this score, it's going to be in red. So, this way you can create a customized report to score. You can use this as a sales enablement tool when you're talking to potential customers and you want to show them a report that says, hey, your site's stinky based off of these metrics that we know a lot of information about. You can come up with that custom score report thingy. And then you can choose whether this is going to be in your profile here, or you're going to share it with all of your other cadre of Raven users. If you're, if you're at the freelancer level, then you don't really have a bunch of coworkers working on this, but some of you are on Grow or Thrive that might have other Raven users and have other profiles that you want to share this custom report across. So then we're going to save that custom quality score. And based off of those metrics, it's going to give us our score here. So it's a great little tool to generate yet another awesome custom report that you'll be able to use in your sales enablement funnel. You can also download it as a PDF. Next tool. Now, this is a tool that's going to surface based off of Mons and Majestic. A specific field that they have in Mons and Majestic is external keywords. And so this is a way to visualize the authority of the anchor text links that are coming to you and kind of identify, some potential keyword opportunities. So you might want to plug in your competitor into this field. So to the topdesign.com, I know that they're a competitor of mine here in Nashville when it comes to Nashville SEO. So he's got an article, your website offers way more opportunities, Yoast WordPress SEO plugin reviews. So I might want to write a blog post about Yoast, write a blog post about Barcamp. Just kind of gives me an insight of what are the things that this other site, Viagra Online Community, I'm not going to write about that. So you can kind of get a peek at, what are my competitors relevant to, so that I can, mimic or create some content like they have. So if I want to do something with this, I can check this box. I can add this to my keyword manager, or I can send this over to research the keyword in our more detailed keyword research tool. Another really cool function is this Pages tool. What it's going to do is it's going to show you, sorted by your page authority, what are the most authoritative pages that you have on your site or your competitor has on their site. So this is a way for me to quickly visualize and say, oh, you know what, he's ranking really well on his Nashville SEO page. He's ranking really well on his SEO success tips for blogging. And what I can do with each of these records, I can research that particular URL, or add that link record over to our link manager so that I can go and try to get a link from it. That's a different use case. Obviously, that's not competitive. I'd be looking for, another site where I might want to get links from them. But this is a good way to plug in either your own domain or your competitor's domain and see which of their resources is driving links. Where are they getting their authority from? Is it just their homepage, or do they have some really good blog content? Next is another way to visualize just the backlinks. This is similar to the data that pulled up in the summary. It's just a single line, a single view with a table output of link information for that particular website. So you can use that for sending things over to the competitor manager. It's connected to keyword manager, connected to our link manager. Again, this is a similar chart up here where you can visualize what's going on with these backlinks over time. Is he getting a bunch of them, or has he not been really doing anything in the past couple of years? The next tool is a little bit old school. Some people are concerned about a number of links coming from either the same IP address or from the same subnet. This tool visualizes whether that data is coming from a similar IP address, so you can get an idea for the neighborhood. I personally don't use this tool very much, I'm going to be honest, but it is there if that is something that does concern you. This is a comparison tool for comparing one domain to another side by side with these metrics. So we'll go ahead and add my Jeremy Rivera SEO.com, submit. So to the top design versus Jeremy Rivera SEO, ding, 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 let's fight. So backlink distribution by top level domain, the number of image links, the number of total links, no follows, and then we're going to get our a whole output of primary metrics. So this is similar to what we had in the site performance tool, but with some additional ones. We can look at .edu backlinks, .gov backlinks, total page size. So you can actually throw some additional domains in here as well. TPS Nashville SEO.com. So now we're, back to back to back. And of course, because we're doing an additional call to the database, we'll have to wait a minute for those metrics to load up. It is really handy to save a shortcut for this. So you can come back if you're already plugged in your competitors. And of course, as with most of the other tools, you can export this. You can create a report, but you can also export this data to CSV. If you're doing some comparative piece in your site audit, for example, this is an awesome tool. You can grab a screenshot of this, throw it in your site audit. Two more tools here to cover. The first one is kind of some semantic suggestions. This is pulled from IBM Watson, so it's grabbing the domain, kind of looking around. Nashville SEO group. So Ross Jones is the guy that runs To the Top Design, and he's got a Nashville SEO group. And so that might be something where I might want to set up my own monthly meetup and webinar to try to compete with them. So these are some general suggestions for you based off of keywords or domain. The last tool in Research Central is a fairly quick and dirty additional little report based off of some design elements. It gives you a score out of 100, whether they're using depreciated HTML, whether their download size is acceptable, whether they have a bunch of inline styles, whether they're using headers correctly. So if you're trying to do a lot of prospecting for new clients, this is another report that you can generate along with our site auditor tool to send off to them. It wasn't planned, but I'm going to show you a fast way to find out who your competitors are for a specific keyword. Go to our link spy tool and hit find. It's going to then pull from the Bing API the top 10 competitors so that you can get a peek and a feel of who your competitors are for that particular keyword. What this tool is going to do beyond that, once you hit the run, is actually look at the backlink profile and run backlink reports for all 10 of those domains. But I like to use that tool as a way to, if I really don't know who's competing for Nashville SEO, just get a feel for a couple of competitors really quickly. Of course, it is pulling from the Bing API, so it's not going to be the same as doing a Google search and trying to pull competitors that way, but it is a pretty fast in-system shortcut to find some competitors. All right, Sean, did we have planned to jump around to any other of the competitor-oriented tools in the platform? Do we have time?
We do have a little time, yeah. If you wanna jump in and show a little bit of that, I have a report set up to show them kind of widgets for the report and things like that as well. But yeah, if you want to dive into, I think, a couple different areas, we do have time.
Yeah, cool. All right. Yeah, we didn't plan this out too far ahead because we didn't know how long this would take. But when we added our rank tracking capability, we wanted to allow you to track keywords, but then we also wanted you to be able to track your keywords and compare yourself to those competitors side by side and see if some of those rankings that you have, your competitor is also ranking for. So if you go through this process, you can, side by side, see if your competitor is ranking for some of the keywords that you want to target. So Nashville SEO to the top design, it looks like we're going head to head for that particular phrase. Let's see, competitor, I think. Oh, the one other thing is this is in beta, and you're going to be able to plug in any URL and see what it is currently ranking for, and the competitive opportunities for that should be pretty obvious, but you can use this for your keyword research processes. See if somebody is ranking for something that you need, or if you see somebody that's ranking for a term you want, you can see if they rank for other things as well. You can take this keyword and send it over to SERP Tracker or add it over to Keyword Manager. I have about 15 people beta testing this right now. If you want to email Jeremy Rivera at raventools.com to get early access to this tool, I do need some more feedback on some of the features, and I'd love to have your insights. So after this webinar, go ahead and shoot me an email and to get access to it. And I'll go ahead and throw the baton here back to Sean so that it can show you the reporting.
All right, thanks, Jeremy, for going over that. And again, if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and throw them in the chat there. We'll go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to jump into the reporting section of this and just kind of show you a couple of those widgets that come through and what information we can pull. So I have a report set up here. I pulled in some of the preset widget categories, so you can kind of just see what those are. But basically what you're going to do here is click on Add More Metrics, and the 3 sections we reviewed today are going to be your site performance, Backlink Explorer, and Research Central. And they're going to pull in the exact information that we went over in each of those sections. So for instance, if you clicked on site performance, we have these 2 presets that you can select from, or you can go ahead and create yourself a custom widget and pull in any of the metrics that site performance pulls out. And the same with that is you can go into Backlink Explorer, create a custom widget, and pull in all the Backlink Explorer, sorry about that, not Backlink Explorer, Competitor Manager is what I meant to say. You can go in and click on that Competitor Manager, create custom widget, and pull in any of the Competitor Manager stats we were looking at before. And then the big one here is going to be the Research Central. Excuse me. So we have these 2 presets for Research Central that have a good amount of information in them. But when you go to create custom widget, you can see just how much information we can pull in from this Research Central. So you can look at information particular to your domain, particular to a keyword, and really dive into any of these specific statistics there. So say we want to look at, maybe we'll say domain backlinks. And we'll look, and you have your scope as your root domain, subdomain, or URL. It comes in a table, and you can select all these metrics to add into there and set it up just like a regular widget you would set up in the system. So I did want to pull those in. I'm going to go ahead and try to reload this so some of that data populates. But you can see these are the presets we had. This is one for Competitor Manager, Site Performance, and Research Central. So I did just add these, and I know we were doing some editing, and I think it was just because we were going through that demo and going through different places. But wanted to point these out. Like I said, you just add more metrics and you have your site performance, Research Central, and Competitor Manager for you to add those in.
All right, Sean, we have a couple of questions. One question was on the Competitor Manager, what does the Majestic Pages column mean? I'm pretty sure that the Majestic Pages is their estimation of how many pages that the site contains.
Yes.
So if my site has 1,358 pages versus To the Top Design has 3,587. Barry S asks, can you drill down into where the backlinks are coming from versus just their trust flow? There's actually a separate tool for that that's under link building and the Backlink Explorer. If you want to go in depth into your competitors' backlinks, then come to this tool. You can search, whether it's the historic index, you can check a URL or the entire domain, get their backlinks. It'll show with the authority metrics. We didn't jump into that too much because, it's more related to link building, but absolutely, if you're doing competitor analysis, you kind of do want to dig into, where those backlinks are coming from. All right. Those are the last of the questions that have been plugged in so far.
Okay. Great. Yeah, and if anybody has any more questions, go ahead and throw them in. You can put them in the chat or the question window we can see as well. So let's see.
It looks like we've answered pretty much all of the questions. We're always available through help@raventools.com. There's that little help button at the bottom right-hand corner. We have a very extensive Zendesk database that answers a lot of questions about our functionalities and about our particular tools. So if you ever have any question about a particular function that we haven't covered today in a different section, there's probably a Zendesk article or two on it to give you some additional insight. Thanks for coming out and joining our webinar. Do we have anything left to cover, Sean?
I think that's about it. And yeah, Jeremy was right on. If you guys have any other questions, definitely send them in our way and we can help you out. Otherwise, look forward to our next webinar coming up in 2 weeks on Wednesday, same time. And we'll be sending out some information on what that category will be that we're reviewing. So again, appreciate everybody's time, and we'll get a chance to talk to you next time.